Who needs slackers? Quit already.
No matter how much I tell him I'm using my paid leave, he doesn't listen. It's not like I'm getting cocky just because I became a full-time employee. I've been working like a full-time employee for 8 years. Yet, my salary has been way lower. Why did I work so hard for this company? I started feeling pretty empty inside. Even as a full-timer, I can't take a break. Got it. I quit. I smiled at my worried-looking grandma. A few days later, I went to the office to pack up my stuff. As I was saying goodbye to my colleagues, Sarah, the secretary, burst into the room. She rushed straight to the manager's desk.
It's a disaster, boss. We've lost $10 million.
My name is Mike Greenfield. When I was job hunting, it was during a tough job market, and I couldn't pursue my passion for illustration. So, I switched between temp jobs and have been working at a major real estate company for the past 8 years. But being a temp is tough. The compensation is completely different from that of full-time employees. Even if I do the same amount of work, the pay is vastly different. I can't enjoy the benefits either. Yet, the younger full-time employees keep getting promoted. I was born in a tough era. If I had been born in a different time, I wouldn't have gone through this, and it frustrates me. But I didn't give up. I believed that someday my hard work would be recognized, and I kept on trying. And finally, my efforts were recognized, and I became a full-time employee. The person who was happiest about my promotion was my grandmother, Catherine Greenfield. Actually, I lost my parents when I was young. They were apparently a very loving couple.
They even held hands when they passed away.
My grandma says, but she doesn't talk much about it. I think it's a painful memory for her too. So, my grandma raised me in place of my parents. She divorced early from her spouse and was alone. We, the lonely ones, supported each other and lived together. She always came to my school events and even ran with me in the parent-child races at sports days.
Your mom is pretty old, isn't she? She's so frail.
Some heartless classmates would say, mocking us. It's true that seeing the young mothers of my classmates made me a bit envious. I was just a kid back then. Now, I think my grandma is the best mom in the world, and I want to work hard and make her life easier. Grandma, live a long life. I'll work hard and make things much easier for you.
What are you saying? You don't need to work for my sake. As long as you have a fulfilling life, that's what matters the most.
A fulfilling life, huh? Got it, Grandma. I'll live a fulfilling life. Hearing about a fulfilling life, I started posting my hobby illustrations on social media. From there, I occasionally got requests like, "Your drawings are cute. I'll pay you. Can you draw for me?" Calling it a side job might be an exaggeration, but the time I spent drawing what I loved was truly fulfilling.
Don't give up just because you couldn't do one thing. Your work involves others, and don't set your own limits. You won't know if it's a limit until you try. You're young, Mike. You can go beyond the limits of an ordinary person.
When I got my first bonus, I wanted to take my grandma on a trip. But first, I had to work. I needed to be recognized for my work. Even though I became a full-time employee, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The manager of the department I was assigned to, Alex Williams, didn't seem to like me.
Why does upper management assign a temp to my department? He's just going to be a burden. Ugh, it's annoying to see an incompetent face every day.
I pretended not to care, while muttering inside, "The annoying one is you." But why does Alex dislike me so much? A colleague told me.
You know, you've been pretty competent since your temp days, right? Alex has been jealous of you for that.
Jealous of me? Of a miserable guy who couldn't become a full-time employee during the job market crash?
Maybe that's why. Temps get paid less, so he might want to believe they have less ability. Remember when you landed that big contract? Alex was aiming for that too. But the client wasn't budging, and when you negotiated, the deal was made. Since then, he's held a grudge.
I was both surprised and amazed. Whether I got the contract or Alex did, it's good for the company, isn't it? But I guess he's the kind of guy who's only interested in his own achievements. Going to work every day, knowing someone there dislikes me. Even though I finally became a full-time employee, I felt weighed down. In June, I was excited about getting a reward for my hard work. A bonus I would never get as a temp. I already knew what I wanted to spend my first bonus on. Recently, my grandmother has been worrying about her back. She never shows weakness when she knows I'm watching, but sometimes I see her rubbing her back in pain in the corner of the room. When I think of something good for back pain, a spa comes to mind. I decided to take her to a famous spa resort hotel known for helping with back pain. Using the weekend wouldn't be enough to relax, so I decided to take paid leave. I coordinated the schedule with my colleagues in advance and managed to get 5 days off. During the break, I planned to relieve my stress and take my grandmother to the spa. But telling Alex about taking paid leave felt difficult. What would he say this time? Paid leave is a right granted to full-time employees. I've already adjusted the schedule to avoid interfering with my colleague work. There's nothing to be afraid of. Even so, I couldn't bring myself to go to Alex's desk.
Mike, what are you drawing? Wow, that's the Minotaur from Greek mythology, right? It's amazing.
I snapped back to reality and realized I had been drawing a fierce-looking Minotaur. Oh, I just like drawing. It's just a way to pass the time.
The eyes look just like Alex.
Other employees gathered, amused by her comment.
It's not just good, it's professional level.
Draw something for my son, would you?
I didn't mind the compliments on my drawing. But the fuss attracted so much attention that I worried Alex would notice. Sure enough, his annoyed voice came.
What's all the commotion? Is the new full-timer that fascinating?
Everyone scattered back to their desks like spiders. I mustered up the courage and walked to Alex's desk. I would like to take some paid leave. I've already coordinated with the other employees. Thank you. I said that and glanced at Alex's face. I prepared several comebacks in my mind, like taking paid leave is a right for full-time employees. I won't inconvenience anyone, and I'll secure at least 2 contracts before my leave. Alex glared at me with a look of utter displeasure.
You've only been a full-time employee for a few months and already think you're hot stuff. Well, it'll just prove that it doesn't matter if you're here or not.
The company will run without me. So that's how it is. I didn't retract my request for leave, but I started to wonder if this place really needed me. I went on a 5-day, 4-night spa trip with my grandmother. The large spa resort hotel had excellent service and helped us unwind from our daily stresses. But my mind wasn't clear. My place, my place. My grandmother and I soaked our feet in a spa in the expansive garden of the hotel, relaxing. I didn't realize it, but I must have looked gloomy. My grandmother asked me worriedly,
What's wrong, Mike? You look so lost in thought. Are you feeling unwell?
I snapped back to reality and hurriedly put on a smile. No, I was just reflecting on how fulfilling my life has become. But my grandmother wasn't one to miss my true feelings.
I was happy you became a full-time employee, but you must be going through a lot of hardships. A spa trip isn't enough to heal a tired heart. The building has gotten quite old compared to when I worked there.
You wore matching uniforms and worked hard back then, huh, Grandma?
That was a long time ago. I never thought I would visit with my grandson for a leisurely trip. Actually,
As my grandmother started to speak, a voice came from behind.
New full-timer, enjoying your paid leave at a place like this. We're struggling with work back there. Why are you here on my business trip?
That's my line. Running into Alex here. I stood up straight and introduced my grandmother to Alex. My grandmother greeted politely.
oh sir, thank you for taking care of my grandson.
Alex sighed heavily, clearly finding the interaction tedious.
Not at all. He's no asset to us. I'm surrounded by incompetents like him, so I always have to step in. I came to finalize the sale of this hotel, but I can't even meet the person in charge. We don't need people who take leave. Just quit already.
No matter how much I told him I was using my paid leave, he wouldn't listen. It's not like I'm getting cocky just because I became a full-time employee. I've been working like a full-time employee for 8 years. Why did I work so hard for this company? I started feeling pretty empty inside. Even as a full-timer, I can't take a break. Got it. I quit. I smiled at my worried-looking grandma. Don't worry, Grandma. I don't say things without thinking. A few days later, I went to the office to pack up my stuff. My resignation had already been accepted by Alex. Though I felt frustrated, a few days later, I was over it. As I was saying goodbye to my colleagues, Sarah ran into the room. She rushed straight to the manager's desk.
Alex, it's a disaster. We've lost $10 million.
$10 million? What on earth happened?
Sarah explained that the historic resort hotel Alex had been negotiating with was now considering another real estate company. The reason was that they preferred not to deal with our company because of Alex. No wonder. He had humiliated me in front of my grandmother. After that encounter, my grandmother had asked,
If you're really quitting, I don't have to hold back, right?
It turns out that the spa resort hotel where we stayed was where my grandmother had married into. She had left the hotel after falling out with her in-laws, separated from my grandfather, who never officially divorced her before passing away last year. In his will, he left the historic hotel to my grandmother. She had no intention of running it, so she asked an agent to find a real estate company to sell it. That's when Alex approached the agent saying, Please trust our company with the sale. It seems my grandmother intended to do that. She thought it would be convenient to use the company where her grandson worked. But once she learned how much I suffered because of Alex, she canceled the deal through her agent. I was surprised to learn that the hotel was worth $10 million. Alex turned red and frantically started making calls and searching for documents.
The agent was so keen on the deal with our company. Why the sudden change? What happened?
I couldn't help but feel amused. I approached Alex under the guise of saying my final goodbye. Alex, thank you for everything. The hotel situation is unfortunate. My grandmother said she can't trust the company if I'm quitting. Sorry for the trouble. I didn't feel sorry at all, but apologized out of formality. Alex's eyes widened in shock.
Wait, your grandmother is the owner? The agent never mentioned that.
Yes, she's the owner. Remember when you humiliated me in front of her? And since I've decided to quit, she sees no reason to be loyal to the company. It makes sense, right?
Could you talk to your grandmother? Please, it's $10 million. If we lose this deal, I don't know what will happen to me.
That's not my problem. Goodbye. I sincerely greeted and walked away from his desk. My grandmother had been worried since I quit.
If I had sold the hotel to your company, your position might have improved. I was angry when I found out about your struggles and canceled the deal, but I feel bad for causing trouble for the company you finally became a full-time employee at.
That's not true, Grandma. My quitting had nothing to do with your deal. I was at my breaking point after being harassed for taking paid leave. It's not your fault. Remember you told me to live a fulfilling life? I made this decision after considering my future. Alex couldn't let go of the $10 million deal. He kept visiting us frequently.
Please, ma'am, I'm begging you. Sell the hotel to our company. It's a huge deal for us, and I can't say it's off now.
He said that, then crouched down in front of us, pressing his forehead to the floor, and begged.
You say that, but when we got an estimate from another real estate company, it was nearly double what you offered. We gave your company special consideration because my grandson worked there, but you were trying to lowball us, weren't you?
What? Another company offered double? Which company?
There's no need to tell you that. We don't want to do business with a company that mistreats my grandson. Now, please leave.
Alex kept coming back so often that my grandmother got fed up and finalized the sale of the hotel with the company that offered double the price. I don't regret quitting the company at all. After spending 8 years as a temp, finally becoming a full-time employee and then quitting might seem unthinkable. But my body was honest. Since quitting, I've been sleeping better and waking up feeling refreshed. Knowing I'll never have to see Alex's face again lifts a weight off my shoulders. If I had stayed, I might have ended up with depression. So, I believe my decision was the right one. I wonder what happened to Alex, who tormented me so much. He caused a $10 million loss, so things can't be going well for him. A former colleague I still keep in touch with told me he was demoted and is in a tough spot. For a while, he put up with it, but multiple reports of his bullying reached upper management. Eventually, he was forced to resign. He's in his early 50s. I wonder if he'll manage to find another job. If he were competent, it wouldn't be a concern, but he wasn't, and his reputation was terrible. Such information is detrimental to job hunting. In fact, he struggled to find a new job. It's understandable that companies dealing with real estate wouldn't want to hire a man who caused a $10 million loss. My grandmother, having sold the hotel, received a large sum of money but hasn't changed her modest lifestyle. She plans to leave it all to me, saying she wants to save it for my future. She deserves to enjoy herself more. After quitting, I didn't look for another job. The illustrations I posted on social media caught the eye of a major publisher's editor-in-chief, and I was asked to illustrate a famous author's novel. That opened doors, and my illustrations started appearing in various media. What I didn't even consider a side job has now become my main occupation. The dream I gave up on when job hunting has now come true. Earning a living doing what I love is the best. Seeing me happily drawing, my grandmother smiles warmly.
You've always loved drawing, Mike. I never thought it would become your career. I heard it's tough to make a living in the arts, so I didn't encourage your illustration work much. I guess I was wrong.
I never imagined making a living from illustration either. Getting the chance to share my work widely was thanks to social media. It's the blessing of our times.
Living long enough to see my grandson's success is truly a joy.
And now, I've been asked to create characters for a new smartphone game. Just imagining my characters moving on the screen excites me. I designed the villain to resemble Alex as much as possible. The hero, of course, is an idealized version of me. When the app launches, I'll enjoy defeating Alex's character. Time flies, and it's been a year since I quit my job. My illustration work is going well. The game for which I designed characters has been a huge hit. Now, there are character figures and even talks of an anime adaptation. My characters are also very popular in the cosplay community. Lately, I've been busy attending various events. My grandmother and I are planning to go on an overseas cruise trip. She's never traveled abroad, so I really want to show her different parts of the world. A cruise would be a fun way to travel without straining her physically. Grandma is looking forward to it. Oh, and I almost forgot. Alex recently got divorced. Not surprising, really. He hasn't found a new job since quitting the company, living off his savings. He has 2 kids who are now living with his ex-wife. He had to sell their house during the divorce, and now he lives in a shabby 1-bedroom apartment. Some former colleagues think he might end up homeless. Marriage seems tough. I never thought much about marriage during my long temp career. But recently, I've become interested in a woman. She gets along well with my grandmother, which is reassuring. Our cruise trip might turn into a trip for 3. As I enjoyed my fulfilling days, I pondered the future.